I was asleep when the phone rang. Not the usual buzzing of notifications or the gentle chime of a friend calling. It was insistent, harsh, like someone had yanked it from my hand in the dark. I glanced at the screen, and my heart nearly stopped. Private number. I hesitated. Normally, I ignore unknown calls. But something about that moment felt different. Something about the way the phone seemed to vibrate with urgency made my instincts scream, "Answer it." "Hello," I whispered, my voice barely above the darkness in my apartment. There was a pause on the other end. Just static at first. Then a voice. Soft, deliberate, almost familiar, but there was something in it that made my skin crawl. "You don't know me. Not yet. But you will soon." I froze. My mind raced. Was this some cruel prank? A telemarketer taking a twisted turn? My apartment suddenly felt colder, the shadows in the corners stretching like they were listening, waiting. Who is this?" I asked, trying to sound braver than I felt. "I can't tell you everything, not yet. But you're in danger." A chill ran down my spine. Danger? Me? I lived a quiet life, worked long hours, came home, watched shows I didn't even enjoy half the time, scrolled through my phone, went to bed. Nothing ever happened to me. Nothing. And yet, here was someone, a stranger, claiming I was in danger, calling me in the middle of the night. I wanted to hang up. Part of me screamed to just drop the phone and pretend this never happened. But another part, the part that couldn't ignore the urgency in that voice, kept me rooted to the spot. Why me?" I asked. "You'll see. Soon. But you have to listen. And you can't tell anyone. Not your friends. Not your family. Not even the police." The words hit me like a punch. Not only was I supposedly in danger, but I was also completely alone in facing it. The city outside was silent, my neighbors asleep behind closed doors, and here I was, gripping the phone like it was a lifeline to something, someone, anything. I don't understand," I stammered. My chest tightened, and my hands shook. "You will," the voice said, slower now, almost calm. "But not yet. I have to go. Just remember this. Trust no one. And never." Click. The line went dead. I sat there in the dark, my heartbeat echoing in my ears, staring at the phone like it had betrayed me. What just happened? Who was that? And why did I feel like my life had just shifted, forever, in the span of a single, terrifying phone call? I had no answers. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. And I wasn't ready for what would come next. The night after that call, I barely slept. Every creak in the walls, every passing car outside my window made me flinch. I kept the phone beside me, the screen glowing faintly in the dark, waiting for it to ring again. But it didn't. Not once. The next morning, I tried to shake it off. I told myself it was probably a prank. Someone bored. Maybe even someone I knew pulling a twisted joke. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. That voice had weight to it, like the person meant every single word. I live alone in a small one-bedroom apartment. Nothing fancy, just enough space for me and the quiet life I thought I wanted. My parents live out of state, my sister just started college, and my circle of friends, well, it's not exactly big. I've always been the type to keep to myself. Work, home, repeat. It's simple, safe, or at least it used to be. At work that day, I couldn't focus. My boss noticed me zoning out, tapping my pen, staring at my phone every few minutes. I laughed it off when she asked if I was okay, but inside, I felt like I was walking around with a secret I couldn't share. The stranger's warning echoed in my head. Don't tell anyone. Not your friends. Not your family. Not even the police. That part scared me more than anything. Because if what they said was true, who could I trust? On my lunch break, I thought about calling my best friend, Daniel. We've known each other since high school. He's the type who always has an answer, even if it's the wrong one. He would have told me to laugh it off, to block the number, to stop letting fear eat me alive. But what if the caller was right? What if telling him dragged him into something he couldn't escape? So I stayed quiet, pretended everything was fine, smiled when I had to, nodded when people talked. But inside, I felt the walls closing in. That night, when I got home, I double-locked the door for the first time in years. I pulled the curtains shut tight. I even left the lights on in the living room, something I never do. My chest felt heavy, like something unseen was already pressing down on me. And then, right when I thought I might finally convince myself to breathe, I noticed something. My phone. It wasn't on the nightstand where I'd left it that morning. I froze, my eyes scanning the room. I was certain I hadn't touched it since waking up. My hands trembled as I checked the kitchen, the couch, the hallway. Nothing. Then, slowly, with a sinking feeling in my stomach, I walked to the front door. There it was. My phone, lying face up on the floor, right against the door frame, like someone had placed it there, waiting for me to find it. And the worst part? The screen was still glowing. My breath caught in my throat as I stared at the phone lying against the doorframe. I hadn't touched it. I knew I hadn't. My stomach twisted in knots, and my hands felt clammy as I crouched down to pick it up. The screen glowed with a single notification. One missed call. Private number. My mind spun. Had someone been in my apartment while I was at work? How else could the phone have ended up here? I checked the locks again. Both were still latched. Windows closed. No signs of forced entry. But that didn't matter. The evidence was lying in my hand. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But where would I go? Who would believe me? Instead, I sat on the edge of my couch, clutching the phone like it might shatter if I let go. My thoughts raced back to the stranger's words. You're in danger. Don't trust anyone. What kind of danger? And why me? The hours crawled by, each second stretching longer than the last. Every tick of the clock sounded like footsteps in the hall. Every passing car outside felt like someone circling my building, watching. I tried distracting myself with the TV, but the noise only made the silence behind it more terrifying. Finally, sometime after midnight, the phone buzzed again. Private number. My chest tightened. Against every shred of common sense, I swiped to answer. Hello. The same voice. Calm. Cold. But this time sharper. You moved the phone. I froze. My hand went numb around the device. What do you mean? I whispered. I put it there for a reason. The voice said, low and steady. You weren't supposed to touch it yet. The room tilted. My mind screamed to hang up, but my body refused to move. Who are you? I demanded, my voice breaking. You'll find out soon enough. But if you want to survive, you have to do exactly what I say. My heart pounded. I could feel sweat trickling down the back of my neck. Every instinct in me wanted to reject this, wanted to believe it was all just a twisted prank. But the certainty in that voice, it felt like they were right here in the room with me. And then, just as my breath began to steady, they said something that nearly made my heart stop. I'm not the only one watching you. I'm not the only one watching you. Those words echoed through my head like a bell tolling at midnight. I pressed the phone tighter against my ear, as if that could somehow shield me from what I'd just heard. My pulse thundered in my chest, each beat a reminder that I was still alive, at least for now. What do you mean? I whispered, though part of me didn't want the answer. A pause. The sound of faint breathing on the other end, measured, steady, like whoever it was wanted me to feel how calm they were compared to me. Finally, the voice said, check your window. My stomach dropped. I turned slowly, every muscle in my body stiff, my eyes dragging toward the curtains I'd shut tight hours ago. My fingers trembled as I reached out and pulled them open, just enough to peek outside. My building faced the street. Across the road, a lamppost flickered weakly, throwing light onto the sidewalk. Empty, or so I thought. Then I saw it. A shadow. Still. Too still. Someone was standing just beyond the light, head tilted upward, staring directly at my window. I staggered back, nearly dropping the phone. Who is that? I hissed into the line. They're not here for you yet. The voice replied, calm, too calm. But they will be. That's why you need me. My breath came fast and shallow. My chest felt like it was collapsing. I wanted to scream for help, to run out the door, but something deep inside me said it wouldn't matter. That shadow was waiting. And if I moved, if I drew too much attention to myself, they would know. The voice continued, almost like it was soothing me. You've been chosen. Don't fight it. The more you resist, the closer they'll come. Chosen for what? I demanded, tears stinging my eyes. What do you want from me? But the line went silent. Not dead, just silent. The kind of silence that makes you feel like someone's still listening, just refusing to answer. I stood frozen in my apartment, every second stretching longer, my mind unraveling. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? I wasn't special. I wasn't rich. I wasn't anyone. And yet, here I was, staring at a figure outside my window, while a stranger's voice whispered threats and warnings I didn't understand. Then, the phone buzzed again. Not a call this time. A text message. From that same private number. My hands shook as I unlocked the screen. The message was short. Tomorrow night. Midnight. Be ready. My throat tightened as I read it over and over. Midnight. Tomorrow. What was going to happen? What was I supposed to be ready for? And as if the universe wanted to make sure I understood how serious this was, I dared to glance back at the window. The shadow across the street was gone. The next night came faster than I wanted. Midnight crept closer, every tick of the clock pounding in my skull. I sat on the couch with the phone in my hand, waiting, dreading. And then it rang. Private number. I answered with shaking hands. But the voice on the line wasn't the same. This one was higher, sharper, and trembling with panic. Listen to me. You don't know who's been calling you. They're lying. You're not in danger because of me. You're in danger because of them. My heart stopped. What are you talking about? Who are you? I don't have time to explain, the stranger whispered, words spilling fast. But everything they've told you is backwards. You can't trust them. You were never the target. The line cut off. Static filled my ear. And then, slowly, the original voice returned. Calm, cold, almost smiling. I warned you not to talk to anyone else. My chest tightened. My grip on the phone slipped. The first caller wasn't the only one. There were two of them, and I had no idea which one was telling the truth. My head spun. Two voices. Two strangers. Both claiming to know the truth. Both warning me about the other. And I was caught in the middle, powerless, terrified, waiting for midnight to deliver whatever fate they'd chosen for me. The phone buzzed again. A message this time. From both numbers, each one marked private. The first, don't open the door, no matter what you hear. The second, almost instantly after, if you don't open the door, you'll die. My blood ran cold. The walls of my apartment felt like they were closing in. My heart hammered as I stumbled toward the door, every instinct screaming at me to make a choice. Trust one, or trust no one. And then, knocking. 3 sharp raps, echoing through the silence. I froze, barely breathing. My phone buzzed again. The first voice whispered through the speaker, "Stay away. Don't you dare." Another knock. Louder. The second voice shouted, "Open it. Now, before it's too late." My hand hovered over the deadbolt, sweat dripping from my forehead, my chest tight. Every nerve in my body screamed for an answer. Which voice was real? Which one wanted me alive? I turned the lock. The door creaked open, and what I saw was neither of them. It was me. My own face staring back at me from the hallway. Eyes hollow, lips curled into a smile I didn't recognize. My phone slipped from my hand and clattered to the floor. Both voices, in unison, hissed through the speaker. "Now you understand." I stood frozen in the doorway, staring at myself. Or something wearing my face. The hollow-eyed figure didn't move at first. It just stood there in the dim light of the hallway, smiling like it knew a secret I never could. Behind me, the phone buzzed again. The voices were gone, replaced by silence. And yet, I could still feel them there, lingering, watching. The other me finally spoke. "You answered the call. That's all it takes." My knees nearly buckled. "What do you want from me?" I whispered. It tilted its head, the smile never fading. "To remind you, you're not as alone as you think. You never were." Before I could move, before I could scream or slam the door, the figure dissolved into the shadows of the hallway, like smoke vanishing into the air. I stood there, numb, the cold night air creeping into my apartment. My phone lay shattered on the floor, its screen cracked, the last unread message frozen across it. You were never the target. You were the invitation. I didn't sleep that night, or the night after. For days, I replayed everything over and over. The first call, the warning, the shadow outside my window, the second voice, and then my own reflection standing at my door. Nothing made sense. But maybe it wasn't supposed to. Because here's the truth I came to realize. That voice wasn't lying when it said I wasn't alone. Not in the way I thought. The danger wasn't just outside. It wasn't the shadow under the streetlight or the faceless voices on the phone. It was already inside me. That hollow-eyed figure at my door wasn't a stranger. It was every piece of fear I'd ignored. Every night I convinced myself I was fine when I wasn't. Every part of me that felt invisible, unnoticed, forgotten. I had spent so long living quietly, convincing myself that nothing extraordinary would ever happen, that no one was watching, that no one cared. And then the phone rang. And now, I couldn't deny it. Someone, or something, had been watching me all along. It's been weeks since the call stopped. My phone is replaced, the locks on my doors are new, and the curtains stay drawn at night. But still, when the clock hits midnight, I feel it. That hum in the air, that tightening in my chest. I glance at my phone, half expecting it to light up with a private number. It never does. But I know better now. Because sometimes the scariest part isn't the call you answer. It's the silence that follows. And when you hear nothing at all, that's when you know they're closest.